Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I've got a real superstar. We're down here in Australia and I've got serial entrepreneur James Ashley. Hi James, how are you
Hello,
going?
Miles. How are you?
Great, thanks
Good to
mate.
see you.
Good.
And thanks for the coffee.
Great, you're most welcome.
Cheers.
Good. James, serial entrepreneur, tell us a bit about your background, mate.
So, left school at 16. I went and worked in a laboratory in a quarry and asphalt plant, and decided at 21 I wanted to travel. So travelled to Australia, worked for an asphalt company for a couple of years,
Yeah.
and then decided to set my own asphalt company. Ran that from 1997 until 2013.
Great.
Sold that, got bored, started a line marking company, ran that from 2014 till 2023.
Great.
And sold that, and now I invest in a few properties.
So where were you doing all this asphalt and line marking? You said you wanted to travel.
Yeah,
Where were you doing this
in Brisbane, in Australia.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so
Yeah,
it's a
great.
good journey.
Yeah, great. And actually here we are in Brisbane, right?
Yeah, we are. We've travelled a long way to talk to
Yeah,
me,
indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. So you've recently, say, semi-retired. You've reduced the stress of the normal work.
Yeah.
What was that transition like?
That's a good question, Miles. It was. I think when you say semi-retired, I think I've retired from the working world, but not retired from kind of work in a way. So I've kind of slowed down, and I'm still in that transition to fully retirement because I'm 54 now, and it's good. It's like being on a highway doing 100 kilometres an hour and then suddenly slamming the brakes on and the highway's free, empty, and you go, wow, what's happened?
Right.
And then you start to figure everything out.
Yeah. And was that stressful from doing that high speed life and now you've got an empty highway?
I think it was, no, not stressful, because I was running a business and that was very stressful. And towards the end, I was kind of getting to the either burnout stage or
Yeah.
You need a change stage. So it was a different kind of stresses where you go, I wouldn't even call it stress. You kind of go through a bit of a loss, lose your identity.
Yeah.
And figure out your new identity. So I think it's more like that.
Tell me more. What was this sort of, this identity loss? Because I hear that very often talking to people. What would you say? Where does this loss of identity come in? Is it like when you're down the pub? Hey, I'm James. I'm from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Where am I from?
when you go, as you go through your working life, one of the first questions, if you meet someone at the pub or in a social thing, situation, people will say, oh, what's your name, where are you from, and what do you do?
Yeah.
And they're the three questions you get asked 90% of the time. So you've got two of those answers, but then you've not got the third.
Yeah.
So for me, it was having a business and working for people. You're part of the community.
Yeah.
So when it stopped, I felt, well, how can I still be part of the community and society?
Yeah.
So now I'm transitioning into those positions where I don't have to earn money to be part of the community, and I don't have to offer a service that I get paid for, whether it's putting asphalt down on a road or line marking a car park. But I can be a part of a community, whether it's just walking down the street and saying hello to a homeless person, or picking some litter up in the community, or joining and volunteering for a community service.
Gotcha.
Or helping a neighbour cut their grass. So that's where I think you transition with your mind to get into that mindset of, yes, I am still part of society and the community, and I've still got a lot to contribute. Whether it's a smaller pond and it's that person down the road, or mowing the person's grass, or helping an elderly person, or it's a bigger pond where you work for a charity organisation.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And in the past, I understood you sponsored quite a lot of local things in the community, but like you say, you know, cutting that person's grass can be a big deal for them and make their day, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And you know, a lot of charities are about giving because when you give, you feel good about giving. So
Yeah,
you want to continue that. And if you can continue that, you feel better with your mental health because you're giving something to someone else.
yeah. And I guess in retirement, you know, during working life, you can probably give money, but you can't give time.
You can't
And
give
then in
time.
retirement,
You can give
it's a
time.
bit, you can give considerably more time, yeah.
Yeah, but also if you take everybody's jobs in the society, they're giving a service. We're all doing something that's better in society. If you're a lawyer, you're creating a service to help people buy houses or get divorced or move on with their life. Or if you clean toilets, you're cleaning toilets that people have gone to the toilet so they can use them. So that
Yeah.
everything's about giving towards society.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I know when I first retired, then you got more time to think, and having more time to think isn't always a good thing.
No,
And what's your thoughts on that?
I think that you do have to stay busy or occupied. I don't
Yeah,
think so much busy, occupied, but also you've got to welcome those spaces. Whereas before you didn't have those spaces in life, so you're going from meeting to meeting or job to home to taking the kids to school to doing this to doing that.
yeah,
And now you've got those spaces where, put it simply, you walk down the garden path when you're working and you see the weed growing and you'll go, oh, at the weekend I'll pull that weed out.
yeah,
You've got time to pull that weed out and you go, oh, I'm going to pull that weed out. Or, you know, you look in your garden and you go, oh, you can sit there and appreciate it for 10 minutes instead
yeah,
of walk past and go, I've got to mow my grass at the weekend.
yeah.
So it's taking that time to stop and appreciate things.
Got you.
So it's a kind of a balance between keeping yourself occupied and not just watching TV or going on your iPad or things like that.
Yeah,
But having the time to stop and enjoy life.
got you. I also hear from some people that they've retired and now they don't need to get up so early, and they get up 8:30, 9, 10.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts about, you know, how's your life changed? Do you have another 3 hours in bed in the mornings,
No,
or how's it changed for you?
personally for me, I think routine is good for me, and I think it's good for a lot of people, but people are different. But for my personal well-being, I had a company where I had to be up at 4 o'clock in the morning, go to work till 4 or 5 in the afternoon, come home, and then I'd go to bed 8:39. I still get up at 4:30, so I'll have a half an hour lie-in. I still do the things in the day, and I go to bed about the same time. That's just what I like doing because I've done it for 30 years.
Absolutely.
So I don't want to sit around, lie in bed for an extra 3 hours because I can.
Yeah, yeah, I
So,
got
yeah.
you. Yeah. What do you think about, like, if I give you the word anxiety?
Yeah.
Is that a word that comes into your vocabulary in retirement?
Definitely. Just because you retire, you don't, all your stresses don't just go away, and you might not have all the financial stresses, you might not have all the family stresses or the work stresses, but we're designed for fight or flight, and you know, many thousands of years, if you'd see a big woolly mammoth, you would have to run. But because we don't have those threats now,
Yeah.
the mind tricks you into thinking, well, you need to create threats like that. So it could be someone at work stressing you out, so you get uptight and you get anxious about things.
Yeah.
It could be the traffic. Retiring doesn't take that away.
Yeah.
It minimises and takes a lot of them out, but you've still got to have that busy mind
Yes.
to keep those anxieties at
Yes.
bay.
So that human instinct, if you're not careful, if your mind's too empty,
yeah,
small things become big things, become enormous things.
exactly. And I found when I was in my 20s, 30s and 40s even, with my businesses, I could juggle things around and I could cope, everything, juggle so many balls in the air. Suddenly hit my 50s, early 50, and it hit me. And I don't know whether it was burnout or it was just that point where I couldn't cope with everything at once and I didn't manage it as well. And I don't know whether that's an age thing or what it is, or modern day living. But I found that for me, exercise was the most important thing for reducing my anxiety and improving my mental health. So the old saying of 30 minutes high intensity exercise, and it doesn't mean that you have to be a CrossFit expert, but get the heart elevated to over 100 beats a minute, 30 minutes constant, whether it's fast walking, jogging, weight training, high intensity workouts. It works, and
Yeah.
I know that if I miss a week, the anxiety levels creep back up.
Yeah.
If I get back onto it, they drop back down.
Yeah.
And that's what works for me.
So get walking, get on your bike, do something.
Be active.
And would you say that's every day or every second day?
I think you've got to get out every day.
Yeah.
I think, and we've got proof, scientific proof that as you get older, you've got to keep moving, because if you stop moving, your body's designed to move, so you've got to use it. And you know what? You might wear it out, but it's better to wear it out than just sit around
and seize up
and get diseases because you're not moving.
Yeah.
So it's so important.
Yeah. I think one final question, in retirement and as people get older, they worry about their health, and you touched on that about movement. Was that also a reason behind thinking of retiring, or how do you think of health, or how to minimize negative impact on your health? You've touched on it, like mental health and physical health, but it's so easy to sort of scoot over those. Was that some health quite a high thought when you retired?
Yeah, that was probably the main priority for me, because we obviously had a couple of successful businesses, and we were very lucky that we managed to make some money in those businesses. So I've managed to retire early, and it would have been so easy to go, well, I had a financial goal in mind that if I could hit that, and I could know, well, I could retire earlier if I hit that financial goal. We could have easily gone, well, another 5 years, another 10 years, and I can make another so many dollars. But then, as I was saying, when I got to 50, I wasn't coping as well with the stresses of running a business and multiple employees. So I just turned around to Annie, my wife, one day and said, you know what, I would rather stop now than have stress, which is proven to cause strokes and cancers if you have too much.
Yeah.
And it's been for nothing. So you've got to know when to walk away.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
you're now sort of 6-12 months into your retirement. If you're saying to my audience on the channel today, would you do it again? Yes or no?
Yes, definitely. I had this conversation with a friend of mine who's 5 years older than me, and he's very wealthy, but he's not retiring. He keeps saying, in the next couple of years. And he says, would you get back into the workplace? And I said, no. The first 6 months I was a little bit lost, thinking, I've lost my identity. But I feel that your work your schooling's a chapter in your life, and you create friends, and you might keep in contact with a lot of those friends. I moved from England to Australia, so I lost a lot of those friends and started work in Australia with new friends.
Yeah.
And then when I retired, they have their lives in their businesses, so they're busy. So I now look at it as my next chapter in my life is that I'm going to create new adventures, new friendships, and enjoy those kind of experiences with open arms, and not worry about Dave, who I worked with 5 years ago. I don't catch up with him because he's too busy, and we've lost touch. So, and you just go, well, that's an old adventure, and yes, it's good, but you've got to look forward to making more adventures in your life.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's about going out into community and being part of community, and getting a dog, walking a dog, and saying hello to the neighbours instead of rushing by and just waving to them. Having
Great.
that time to have a chat with them.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, and meeting up the neighbours, build that local community. Yeah,
yeah,
sounds good.
So much
That's
so.
great. Great. Well, I think
Thank
we've
you,
had a
Matt.
good chat, James.
That's
So
awesome.
that was James Ashley, serial entrepreneur. Thank you very much.
I've never heard it called entrepreneur. I call it entrepreneur because I'm posher than you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. See you.
Bye.